Hello and welcome back to my channel. Off the back, up front, guys, I'm in New York City. I'm having a hard time finding a place where it's quiet and my time is limited. So I got to get this out here. So I want to do something a little bit new. There have been several different videos or live streams or reels on Instagram that are talking about real estate. Some of the things are true, some of the things not so much. And many of the things that are mentioned need to be expounded on just a little bit more. So that's what I'm going to do in this particular video, and I'm going to do it in a number of other videos talking about different subjects that I see. So one subject that I saw was the Section 8 play. Now, one of my most popular videos was how to use Section 8 to buy a home, because they do have what is known as the Section 8 Housing Voucher Program. And I also mentioned how investors and developers can go ahead, buy a property, fix it in such a way, and get grants, putting Section 8 housing voucher recipients in them. Because you can use those housing vouchers not only to buy a house, but also to buy a condo as well. Okay. Now, but in the reel that was put out recently, he was saying how you can use the program to help pay to renovate property. So some of you may be wondering, well, is this true or is it not true? Well, guys, it is true. Yes, the Section 8 housing program has changed drastically from when I started being a landlord till right now. Okay. There have been a lot of things that have been put in place that we didn't have before. For example, if somebody in your property is Section 8, and let's say that they destroyed the property, right? Each state now is giving out money to landlords. What you need to do, though, and this is important, whether it's a Section 8 person or not, I normally do this. You take a picture of your property, videotape the property before the people move in, so that this way, when they move out, they don't come back and say, well, it was like that before. No, it wasn't like that before. And yes, Section 8 program now will give you money to compensate whatever was destroyed. I believe it's 16,000 in Georgia. I believe it was, because my neighbor, she had a Section 8 tenant, and that tenant, the daughter burnt up the kitchen. So she used that money to fix the kitchen back the way it was before. So yes, that can happen. It's, sometimes also when they do destroy your property, they get kicked off of Section 8. They wasn't doing that before, but they are doing that now. So I wanted to let you guys know about that program that is going on. And then I also keep getting questions, does this program still exist, the housing voucher program? Yes, it exists. I'm so tired of telling people that it still exists. People keep asking me. That's why I turn the comments off. Please just go and look it up for yourself. I mean, it's right there on their website, on the HUD website. So please check it out. Okay. Now, as far as for property investors, Like you have some people who do it fix and flip. It's not too much for the fix and flippers. It's more for people who will fix up a home but will keep it, not turn around and then sell it. So what they have is they have project-based vouchers, where the housing authorities can actually attach a voucher to a specific unit. That owner, the landlord, has to apply for that. Okay. Then you have property rehabilitation incentives. Some local housing authorities, so you have to give them a call. They offer these incentives to landlords to upgrade their properties. Okay. There are still grants and low interest loans that you can use for renovations for your property and place a Section 8 tenant in there. You have, in addition to the community development block grant that I spoke about in an old video, you also have the Home Investment Partnership Program. That's a federal program that provides grants to different, states and localities. And then still, in addition, some other states and cities offer their own separate rehabilitation programs that you can use if you have a Section 8 tenant or if you want to put a Section 8 tenant in there. New York has something called the Restore program, and then California has their own housing rehabilitation program as well. Again, you have to go through HUD and find out more information, or your local HUD office. In New York City, you would also go through HPD, Housing Preservation and Development Program. Okay. You also have something called the Rental Assistance Demonstration Program. That's also under HUD. This helps property owners make repairs and renovations. It helps stabilize funding of properties by replacing some of the existing subsidy contracts with long-term Section 8 contracts. Okay. Cities are doing this because there's a shortage of housing for people who are of low income. Okay. So again, as far as, like income limits, they're going to differ probably from state to state, because I was looking at it and it was saying something about, like, if you're just a family of one, you got to make like the tenant has to make less than $54,000 in order to qualify for that. The other thing is, the other thing I wanted to mention is that there are certain properties that do receive federal assistance from HUD via either Section 8, the Moderate Rehabilitation, or the McKinney Mod Rehab Single Room Occupancy Program. Now, single room occupancy is not legal in New York, but it is legal in other states, right? But anyway, these programs allow owners to maintain properties while charging residents affordable rent, because affordable rent, particularly in New York, is not common, if you will. And the reason too why some landlords or some people may want to look into Section 8 now is because they made it more attractive, so that this way, if they destroy your property, it doesn't render you penniless. All right. Because some people, honestly, if the tenant messes up their property, they got to give it all up. They can't stay there. Or that particular unit in that property is just unrentable for a long time, because the person just doesn't have money to fix it. So now that we have these programs, and many of these programs are grant programs, not loans, meaning you don't have to pay it back. However, you know, everybody wants to know, well, what's the catch? What's the catch? The catch, of course, is if the government loans you, not loans you, gives you that grant, you can't just turn around and sell it. Typically, you're going to have to hold on to that property for 5 years, and you're going to have to put another Section 8 tenant in that particular house if there's nobody living in there, or keep the ones that you already have in there and not just throw them out just because you made those renovations. So typically that's the catch, if you will, with that. And again, that's going to vary by state to state. You know, some will say you have to hold on to the house for 5 years. Others will say, oh, you have to hold it on to it for 10 years. You know, you really have to speak to a HUD specialist or a HPD specialist to get more information on that. One would say, you know, as a landlord, well, why would I want to do this? Or as an investor, why would you want to do this? What makes the Section 8 more attractive is because of what happened during COVID. You see, a lot of people who had rented to people who were paying regular market rent, those tenants stopped paying because of the moratorium, right? Some of them, not all. I was lucky. But you had a lot of people that were like, oh, I'm not paying. And they're in court now, and the courts are backed up. There are still people who are in court trying to evict people who didn't pay during the moratorium. And my cousin, she was hurt real bad because she didn't have a Section 8 tenant. She had a regular tenant, and she didn't get any money. But here's the thing, those who had Section 8 tenants, the government, you know, pays a portion of their rent to the landlord, right? So they were getting that check. You know, they may not have gotten all of the rent, especially if it was a working Section 8 tenant, but they got something. And yes, the government is slow when they pay, so sometimes the government doesn't pay on time, but still, at least they got something, while a lot of other people didn't get anything at all. You know, I'm not necessarily pushing anybody to rent to Section 8 tenants. I understand because of all the negativity that others have experienced in the past, but I'm not gonna push you away. This is just an alternative. This is just another way to make some money and to provide affordable housing. That's all I'm presenting here. It's up to you to take the information and do with it what you want. And this also is to say that, yes, the guy who is putting out the videos on Instagram about the quote unquote Section 8 play is correct. But the only thing is that there are many different ways to play or run it's not just one play. It's many different plays in which you can use Section 8 to be profitable. That's all I'm saying. Okay? So guys, hopefully the information that I shared will help you make smart financial moves. Feel free to pass this amongst your friends. Remember, each one, reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time, have a good night.